Hi, welcome to my craft mess. Today I thought it would be fun to take you on a walkthrough of how to make this journal. Journal mini album. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make the basic book today, and then we will put the pages in video 2. And then in video 3, we're going to make some interactive elements. We're going to have pop-ups and things that swing out and stuff like that. So I hope you're here for the long haul, because there's going to be 3 videos. Thank you. We're going to make our book. The book is going to have 2 covers cut out of chipboard that measures 6 by 8 inches. 2 of those. Don't worry that I've got extra cut out because I'm making 2 books. And then for the spine, you want a piece of chipboard that is 2 by 8 inches. And then for the spine, you want 3 pieces of paper that are 7 7/8 inch long. This one is 7 7/8 by 3.5, and then I just scored 1 inch on each side and folded it to make this shape, this kind of U shape. Then I took another piece that was 7 7/8. This time I cut it 3 inches wide, scored down 1 inch on each side, folded it in half. And it makes like a trough, I guess, really. And then another one, I took 7 7/8, and it is 2.5 inches wide, and I folded it down. I didn't fold it, I scored it down, sorry. 1 inch on each side, and then I folded that up. That is going to leave me with a 1/2 inch in the center, and that means that I can either use very bulky embellishments, or what I want to do is I want to create a couple of waterfalls in there, and they do take up a lot of room once you get the pictures and all the pretty papers in there. So that's why this is a 1/2 inch. If you were going to do things that were not bulky, you could even cut another piece and then just make sure you left a 1/4 inch in the middle. But I'm not going to do that because I want mine to have more room. So the way I'm going to assemble this is I'm going to do this before I even bother doing my covers. And, you know, it's just all up to you how you like to do it. Now, I always use a wet glue for this. Other people, they say that they use score tape. And score tape's fine, but I find that with score tape, I don't always get a really good bond. And when I make my books, I want them to last for a very long time. So I'm going to use liquid glue. And I'm just using art glitter glue, but it doesn't matter. You can use whatever you have. Tonic Studios makes good glue. Elmer's makes good glue. Eileen's makes good glue. Barely Arts makes good glue. You know, they're all wet glues. So I'm going to take my 3.5 inch piece, and I'm going to center my 3 inch piece right inside, making sure that my lines are straight, because I want to have a 1/4 inch on each side. And then I'm just going to rub that down. Now, I did notice that when I cut this, I did cut one of my papers at 8 inches. That was a mistake. So I'm just going to come in with my scissors and trim that off so that they're both 7 7/8 inch. The reason I'm doing that is my book itself is going to be 8 inches tall, and I don't want my pages to take the chance of coming out of the book. Now I'm going to take my last piece, which is the one that has the 1/2 inch wide gusset, I guess, and I'm just going to put my wet glue on that. And then put it all over. And I'm just going to lay it down right inside of the other 2 pieces. I'm going to leave a 1/4 inch on each side because I want some room to put embellishments. And there you see I have my spine piece, and it's all ready to attach my pages to. And that was very easy. So I'm just going to set that aside and let that dry. When I come back, I'm going to use my spine piece and my 2 cover pieces. And I'm going to cut a piece of paper. Now for this one, I'm going to have to cut a piece of paper that is 12 plus 2 plus 1/2 is 14 and a half, and then 15, 16. I'm going to have a piece of paper that is 16 and a half. I'll write that down for you. 16 and a half by, let's see, 8, 9, 10 by 10. And the only way I'm going to get this is if I go ahead and make it myself. So I'm going to have to take 2 12 by 12s. I'm going to cut them down to 10 inches. That'll leave me an inch on each top and bottom to fold under. And then I'm going to glue them together and then cut them so I have a piece that's 16 and a half. Now when you glue them together, you want to make sure that when you put your spine on it, that you lay your spine over that glue fold, and I'll show you what I mean in just a little bit. So now I have glued my piece of paper together, and then I glued it by overlapping 1/4 of an inch in the middle, and then that gave me this nice long piece of paper. The next thing I did was I measured up 1 inch from the bottom and creased it. That's just to keep me straight. And then I went over to the front cover section and I also folded it in 1 inch and creased it. This is going to help me align everything so that I'm not, you know, going slanted or anything. So now I'm going to take my chipboard cover and I'm just going to glue all over it. Once again, I'm using wet glue for this because, as I said, sometimes with the tapes, they will come up. Oopsie. So I'm just going ahead and put my glue all over that backing. Okay. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to just carefully find the corner edge and push it all over so it is in the corner of the paper here and the corner of the paper there, so the bottom and the outside. Then I'm just going to smooth that down because I do want to work that glue into the edges. And that's working nicely. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool that I got off Amazon that I think is the bomb diggity. It's called a book cover guide. And I'm just going to lay it right in next to my cover, my front cover. I'm going to take my spine piece and I'm going to just butt it up right next to it. And then I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to make sure that I have the same amount of space on each side. Let me clear a little bit of space here. I am working in a teeny tiny little area. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue all over the back of this. But then I'm going to do something surprising. Or I hope it'll be surprising for you. All right, let me use my tool. I just want to butt it up to the edge. Put this right next to it, butt it up to the edge. Take it out. Flip it over and scooch. Did you know scooch was a Midwestern word? I just learned that from wonderful TikTok. Okay, and then I'm just gonna brayer it down with my hand. I'm gonna repeat this process for the back page. I'm going to take my back cover, smear glue all over it. So much fun. All right, and I'm going to, using my tool once again, I want to make sure that I align this with my bottom edge. And my top edge. Once again, my space is so small, I kind of have to maneuver stuff around. Let's see how that is. Yep, pretty good, pretty good. All right, I'm gonna smooth it down. Now I can see that my measurements are off. So, let's see, why are my measurements off? Oh, my measurements are off because when I measured 8 plus 2 plus 8. It should have been 6 plus 2 plus 8. So my seam is going to be on my back page. But that's not going to really worry me too much because I can deal with covering it up. So my apologies. This is why we don't listen to me when I do things. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off approximately an inch. Now, if I had used this paper for the front, there'd be no problem where my seam is because you couldn't tell it. It's so busy. But because I used this paper, you can kind of tell. But like I said, I'm going to probably do something with that, or I might not even do something with that. I just might not even care. All right. So using my handy dandy tool once again, I'm going to come in, and this light's really bright, and I'm going to lay this section on my corner. And just put my corner piece right in there, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line. I don't know if you can see that diagonal line very well, but I'm going to cut it off at the diagonal line, and I'm going to do that to all 4 of my corners. So I'm just putting my corner in that triangle and marking them off. You know, I have made this album 3 times, and all 3 times I have miscalculated that cover piece, which just blows me away because I used to be a math teacher. All right, I have my corners, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off. This makes a nice mitered edge on the corner. So I've cut all my corners off. Remember now, I folded up the bottom edge just so I would have a straight line and everything is in alignment. And I'd folded in the corner edge. And look, because I mitered my corners, they fold together very nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue that bottom one first. So I'm just going to stick... Or you know what, before I even do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some tape to my spine because I don't want it to fall apart. I am using this white bookbinding tape. It's called Book Guard. And all I'm going to do is cut a piece off from top to bottom. What this is going to do is just kind of be one added extra defense, I guess, against everything falling apart. And if you're looking at my work, I'm not getting it exactly straight, but you know what? That's okay because nothing's going to show. So, and if I wanted to, I could lift it up and, well, maybe I'll do that. Just lift it up, kind of straighten it up. All right, now I'm going to fold up that bottom. I had glue on it. I'm very lucky. I had art glitter glue on it, and it allowed me to wait a minute. I'm just going to kind of poke in my edge here. Poke in my edge here. Come around to this side. Fold my paper over. Just like that. poke in this edge just half a hair, and then I'm going to put glue all over this nice long edge. I am kind of putting glue into the crease. I don't think that matters, but that's what I'm doing. Getting it as close to the edge as I can. There we go. And then I'm just going to lay my paper over on top and spread it down. Making sure once again that I have folded in the tiny little edge piece. Okay, now I'm going to glue the short sides together. Put my glue down. If I want to, I can use the metal edge guards on the book. I think they look really pretty. Okay, let me scooch this up. Let me fold this over. Put my glue in it. Oops. Probably got some glue on my table. Nope, I didn't. All right, and I'm just going to, once again, brayer it down with my fingertips. I don't need fancy tools, except my book binding tool thing. I really like that. All right, once again, giving everything a good press. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to give it a press in between where the gap is, you know, where I taped that gap. And the only reason I taped that gap is because if something were to happen to the book and the paper were to rip, at least it would still be together. Okay, now what I need to do is cut one piece. That is, okay, so I've glued together two pieces of paper to make my inner piece. You get the measurements just by measuring how long it is. And I chose a pattern that you really are not able to see where the seam is unless, of course, you see the shadow effect. So now I'm going to glue this down. And I want to get the edges as close as possible glued down. So I want to get my glue just right up to the edges. If it seeps out a little bit, I'm just going to wipe it off with my finger. You could use a cloth, you could use whatever you need. One of the nice things about this particular glue is it's not a super watery glue, so it does dry quickly. Oops, as I throw everything around. Okay, I'm going to take my paper, get glue on myself, and I'm just going to lay it down, eyeballing the edges so that I'm trying to leave the same amount of edge on all sides. I'm not doing a very good job of it, but it'll look wonderful when it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to use my bone folder and, squish my glue down. There we go. Okay, so now in the edges, what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is glued down really, really well. And I am taking my bone folder and I'm going right up the middle of that spine fold. Oops, excuse me. And just kind of giving it a little crease. So let me find this one is right here. And while the glue's wet, it's just kind of stretching out that paper, I believe. That's my thought on it. Okay. And I'm going to let that all dry. I don't want to have any paper lifting when I go like this, because if I do, it doesn't look very pretty. There we go. Good job. Let me check this one. Good job. And there we've pretty much completed the cover for the book. At the very end, we're going to come and we're going to maybe cover the spine in a different color paper. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do back here yet, because I don't know if I particularly care if there's a problem there or not, actually. But there is my spine. In the front of my cover, notice the butterfly and all the flowers. And then the back. The only thing that I need to do now is I need to put in my piece that's going to hold all my pages, my flange piece. And I made 2 of them, so I'm just looking to see which one I want in this one. Not that it really matters. All right, so I'm going to use this one. Now, I'm going to center my book up on my grid, because I know that the way I cut these pieces, there should be 1/4 of an inch from the fold where this is going to fold down. And then that should make it so that it is nice and straight in my book. So let me make sure that I'm straight on my grid. I'm just going to put the glue on my spine. Now when it comes to doing the pages, okay, then I'm going to just glue it in the book. There's just going to be a little tiny top and bottom difference. Okay, let me move it over just a hair. And then I'm going to press that down really well. And I'm getting in between each of the hinge pages. To do that, you can use your bone folder if you want. You want your pages to fold easily back and forth. You want them to adhere nicely to your book. All right, if you need to, in order to get the pages to adhere firmly, you can use a clip. I'm just using a little cheapo clothes clip that I got from Dollar Tree, most likely. And I'm just going to let that hold my book in place. And I'm going to let it dry. And I'm very sorry for the filming. I know it's real crappy, but that's okay. I think in the next video, we're going to put our pages in here. Thank you for watching.